Hi there, welcome to Floating in Dreams. This is my top 10 favorite discontinued palettes. Welcome to everybody watching today. Thank you so very much for joining me. This video is the next installment in Eyeshadow Palette Week, and today we're going to be talking about my favorite discontinued palettes. So I have a massive eyeshadow palette collection, and that's not because I bought everything in the past 3 months. It's because I have been slowly but surely building my eyeshadow palette collection over the years, kept the things I loved, brought new things in, and then I declutter every once in a while to A, keep myself accountable, but also to assess, like, is this really what I'm using? And there are so many good things that I love till this day that you can no longer get. So either these were limited edition or they were just taken out of production for whatever reason. And for all of these, I'm asking these brands, why? Why were they discontinued? Because these are all so good. So let me get to these really amazing palettes. We can't talk about discontinued palettes and not talk about this. This is by Catrice. It's their Fall in Colors palette. And this was limited edition a couple of years ago. And I fell head over heels in love to the point that when it became available very randomly on Amazon over here in Europe, I picked up like 3 extra ones and put them in a giveaway because I was like, I need to spread the love of the Fall in Colors as much as I can. So I hope that, you know, you were able to pick it up at some point. I don't think this collection came everywhere. That's usually the issue with Esses and Catrice. I never know what's gonna come to your country. So if you missed out, I'm terribly sorry. But I was lucky because I picked this one up in my local drugstore, and then I think it was released in like other countries in Europe a little bit later, like about a year later or so. So I was able to pick up those things for the giveaway, as I mentioned. So here is what the color story looks like. This was a fall release. It's essentially rosy tones. It has a load of rosy purpley things, and it's quite cool tone leaning. The reason why you're thrown off is because of the yellow reflective background. That's what makes this palette look like it's got a lot less cool tones in than you think. The only true warm tones you get is this little row here. So I always do this without breaking things, please. But I cover up these two, and then you can see that it's far more neutral than you might expect. So can you get a really nice warm toned look out of this? For sure. But if you want to, you can keep it very sort of neutrally. There are some taupey things in there, some gray leaning things, but a lot of it's like plummy, and it's super duper autumnal. I bring this out again every single year for fall, and that's why it's one of my favorites. So it had to go into this video. Some of these brands are no longer even around. This is by BH Cosmetics. This is the Love in London, and this thing has my heart till this day. I think I've now decluttered all of my BH Cosmetics palettes, save for this one because it's just that good. Again, reflective packaging here, so that kind of skews your eye, you can say, but it's overall quite a neutral palette, but that leans a little bit more smoky, I find. We get some color. We get a gray, a blue, and a purple. This taupe number is really good. I quite like this shade. And then, you know, you get enough shades to like make things lighter or like sort of play around with it. So it's essentially like 12 neutral shades with like pops of color and a deepening up shade in a black. So you've got something for liner. You just get everything you need in terms of like a neutral. And I love the formula of this. This is one of my favorite palettes that I tried that year. And till this day, I still put this up on a pedestal. This confirmed for me why everybody loves BH Cosmetics so much. I hadn't tried much from the brand until I tried this. This, I think, was my first proper BH Cosmetics palette, and I still love it till this day. So this brand doesn't seem to be going anywhere, but Melt, she's in parties. Rest in peace. Why, Melt? Why is this gone? Because I don't get it, because this is one of the best rosy tone palettes to have ever come into existence. And when they turned it into a palette, it even became pale skin friendly, which because I used to own this as a stack when it was only 4 shades, and I think the shades we got in there were this like goldeny tone, then this tone, so that's Last Caress, and then of course the She's in Party shade, which is like a pretty warm tone shade, and I think it already had Mean Streak in, so the really nice dark matte. So this, and these 2 lighter shades is what were added to it when it became an 8-pan palette. And that's what really made me fall in love with it even more. I already loved my stack, was wearing it quite a bit, but then it came out as that palette, and I very much was on the fence about this, because it was like, I already own that stack. Do I need the palette? But then I was introduced to the magic that is Strangelove and Total Immortal, and then also Lost Control. Like, 3 of the shades that they added are cool tones. And you know how I feel about cool tones. And they had a lighter shimmer and a lighter matte to blend things out and to use in the crease if you're pale skin like me. So for me, this palette became even more perfect when they changed it to be put into the 8-pan. And I was like, yes, give it to me. This has been top of a lot of my rankings. Whenever I rank rosy tone palettes, this usually comes out on top. And I don't think there's currently anything in my collection that can top this, because this color story was marvelous, but they no longer do it. Why? Why? Now this next one may be a little bit controversial, but if you've been here, you know that I still love my Subculture. I've rearranged a lot of my ABH palettes because I like them okay, but there were, in every single palette, there were only like a couple of shades I was reaching for. So instead of like keeping the entire palette, I put them out, like I pulled them out, I used a hairdryer to loosen up the glue, use a little knife to pry them out, and put them back into palettes, into new color stories. And now I have 2 ABH palettes that hold, I think the shades are of 6, maybe 8 eyeshadow palettes that I used to own. Much more convenient, much easier to use. But the Subculture, I've never done that to, because I still love this. And I know nobody enjoyed this, but I got mine later. And I think that's why. Because I think that if you didn't get it in the first launch, that they then improved the formula. That's my theory. I'm not sure if that's the case. But I think they must have changed the formula. And now I just really like it. I love the grungy tones. This color story has my heart till this day. The only issue, not enough shimmers, but I have found that these, especially this entire side of the palette, pairs so well with jewel tone multichromes. Trust me, if you have this or you have shades like this, try, for instance, something like Axis or Rowdy in the crease. You need to trust the process because these are deep shades, but trust the process, put it in your crease, maybe a bit in your outer V to get it like nice and smoked out, and then layer a jewel tone multichrome on top. And then with the Axis shade, I would go in with something like, you know, that shifts green, gold, blue. And then if you're using Rowdy, you can go in with those like cranberry, golden, peachy tones. And because of those mattes being layered under them, they get a whole new dimension. And that's been my trick. Again, a palette I reach for a lot in the fall time. I really enjoy my Subculture till this day. I don't care what all the haters were saying. I love mine. And this is why I don't watch a lot of reviews all the time from other creators, because I don't want to be skewed. I want to find things that I love and maybe also give you a different perspective, because especially when this palette was being hated on by like everyone, I also felt like some people were doing those reviews not because they didn't like it, but because that was the thing to talk about. And it always felt a little bit unfair to the palette, I felt. So it left a bit of a bad taste in my mouth. So that's why I always try to go out of my way to try and give you my honest opinion and to not be biased by other makeup reviewers' opinions before I try it myself. This palette is so nostalgic. Who remembers this guy? Juvia's Place, The Tribe. Who didn't love this at some point? If you owned this, I think there were a lot of people there who were just like, yes, That's a great one. And I've seen so many people declutter theirs over the years. This palette was discontinued because they could no longer source the pigments. That's the case actually for quite a few of these. And this, I mean, till this day, I still love this. This needs to go into a Shop My Stash though. I'm thinking in May, I may want to revisit this because this is beautiful. I especially like the greeny teal shades we get in here. It's got some vibrancy, like almost neon sort of mattes in the top row. The entire middle row of shimmers have shifts, especially in these two like neutrally shades. Each one of them has like a green flip to them. And this is like the best crease shades of your life. Yes, it is this sort of very dirty looking brown. It's like brown mixed in with yellow and green, so it's a very unappetizing shade to look at. But trust me, if you put something like this in the crease, and then something like this all over the lid, and you top it with that, and then you put a little bit of the oranges on the lower lash line, and you deepen things up with that matte, magic happens. So the Tribe, till this day, has been one of the best eyeshadow palettes to have ever been made, but that you can no longer buy, at least in my opinion. Now, a palette I really wish is coming back is Gloss God Smoke and Mirrors. And the reason why I say that is because for Christmas last year, they brought back the Vintage Glam, which is a palette they had discontinued before this one. So I think they came out with the Neutrals Remixed and the Vintage Glam together, and then they kept the Neutrals Remixed, or the new Neutrals Remixed, and they discontinued the Vintage Glam. And that's around the time where I started to discover this brand. And then I hadn't even tried those palettes yet, because I didn't buy the Vintage Glam at that time, so I had missed out on it. But I did buy the new Neutrals, and I bought something else. I think it was the Green Shimmer palette. The Dancing in the Sky, I think it was called. And I hadn't even played with those. And then they released this limited edition. And I was like, oh, that looks like such a stunning cool tone palette. I have to try it. I mean, from the grays in the bottom to these heathery purpley shades in the middle. And then these lighter shades. It just looked perfection. But I didn't know whether I was going to like this brand because I had never tried them before. Do I like this formula? And I was like, you know what? I'll take the gamble. Bought it. Ended up falling head over heels in love with the brand, so I'm glad I have this. But now that they've brought back the Vintage Glam last year, part of me is like hopeful that they may bring this back this year. Wouldn't that be great? Like if Christmas, like, or Black Friday 2025, we're going to get this one back. Gloss Gods, if you're watching this, please make that happen because I think that would be beautiful. I really love mine. It's such a beautiful cool tone palette. And because it was only around for a couple of weeks, because I think they launched it around Black Friday time, had it in their Christmas collection for like 6 weeks. It was one batch from what I could tell. And when that sold out, they didn't bring it back. So I'm not sure how well it actually did. But I think that cool tones are really having a moment. So I think if they were to re-release it, it would do incredibly well. I still love mine. We all know I love a good cool tone, and I really do hope they bring this back at some point. Something that cannot be brought back because, like the Tribe, the pigments are no longer available is by Blend Bunny. This is the Surge palette. I hopped onto the Blend Bunny train when they first starting to get a really bit of buzz. I think the Blends was out, and then this and the Dollhouse. I think that was all they had up on the website at the time. I'm not entirely sure. I bought this through Blend Bunny themselves. Right now, if I buy Blend Bunny, I do buy it from MONOLITH, which is my one-stop shop for all things in the eyeshadow palettes and here in Europe. And I am affiliated with MONOLITH. So I'm not affiliated with Blend Bunny themselves, but if you have seen other Blend Bunny palettes on my channel, then that may be why. But yeah, this is beautiful. It's a beautiful palette. It's one of my favorites from Blend Bunny. It's got neons, you get shimmers, you get deepening up shades, you get these medium tones, and you get these pastels. So these are absolutely stunning, and it's such a shame it's no longer around. I don't have that many colorful eyeshadow palettes that I love wearing, but if I have that moment where I want to bust something out that's more colorful and that's rainbow-esque, but without it being primary colors, I reach for the Surge because this has a murkier undertone. Even though it has neons, I feel that, especially these two rows, have that murkiness to it that I just prefer. If shades are too bright, I feel they look wrong on my skin tone. So that's why I like this has like a neutrally base. That's the way I would say, like explain it to you. The base color of a lot of these shades is a bit more neutral leaning, which I think is why it works quite well on my skin tone. There are also brands that are just no longer around anymore. The Meesha Lou Cosmetics Witchcraft palette. This went viral for a hot minute. The brand was only around for a little while. I think it was someone who did it as a hobby. They were located in the UK. They send out this palette in particular to a lot of people in PR, which is why they got a lot of buzz. But then they did like 2 or 3 palettes and then they were gone. So this is such a shame. And what still, like, this is the most mind-boggling thing about this palette for me. That no other indie brand so far has tried to copy this kind of color story. Like, out of all of the color stories we've seen in the past couple of years, no brand has done this. With these, like, really nice, dark, saturated browns with a red undertone, with these really intense greens, and these, like, purple tones, essentially, because that's what you're getting. It's like grungy purples. This is one of the best grungy fall-based color stories I have ever set eyes on. And part of me wishes that a brand like Fantasy Cosmetica does something like this. Because I think that if they were to do something, maybe don't call it a witchy themed palette, because that may not be that smart, because that may be copyright infringement. But if they do something with this kind of theme, I think it would do really well in their range. And it's something that I think is missing from everything that beauty brands have to offer at this moment. So if someone, a brand who's out there right now, can do something like this, I think you would hit the nail on the head. So this is still one of my favorites. Oh, and by far, Magic, this shade right here in the bottom, it's like tan, purpley plum leaning, and then it has silver, blue, and green reflects. It's amazing. My favorite Oden's eye palette is one that they did at the start of their brand that you can no longer buy, even though the name of this palette still floats around the brand. Just so you know, this exact palette, no longer for sale. Again, I believe something they could no longer source, so that's why it's no longer around. But I'm talking, of course, about the Solomona, my favorite Oden's eye palette. This is such a good summer palette. Like, when I look at this, I'm looking at sunshine. This, to me, is summer in a palette. Loving the pop of lavender that's in here. This shade is really, really similar to that lime chrome shade that's in the Natasha Denona Gold palette. So many good things in here. I love playing with this till this day. Such a shame you can no longer get it. And I feel like every single time they come out with another Solomona themed eyeshadow palette, it's just never this. And I know you can no longer make the exact same thing, but the spirit of this palette is not being replicated by the things that Oden's Eye is doing currently. So this is one where I'm like, I still love it till this day. I'm going to be busting it out for the summertime yet again. I just know I will. And finally, we have this guy, the Rose Quartz by Huda Beauty. I was so sad when they discontinued this because this has been my favorite Huda Beauty palette for years. Let me tell you. This is such a good light skin friendly palette. That's why I enjoy it. I haven't reached for mine in a while. Again, maybe something to reach for yet again. But yeah, this is beautiful. And I wish so badly that this was still around because it's so good. It has beautiful, beautiful shades. I now remember again, like, I don't really have a really good inner corner highlight. That's why I don't reach for this anymore. And you do get warmth if it's a Huda palette, you just do, and they have to chuck in something that doesn't make any sense. But yeah, this is a beautiful palette. Yeah, this is absolutely stunning. And I need to bust it out again. I just know I do. I just know I do. But yeah, when it comes to a favorite, like again, this palette made it to so many like top of like all-time favorite palette lists and all that. That is a video we're doing this week, by the way. So we're gonna end things on like my all-time favorite eyeshadow palettes, and this is a contender to potentially go into that video for sure, but not entirely sure yet what I will be selecting for that video. Whether it's going to be older things that I've had for a while yet, or whether it's going to be just like things that I really, really enjoy right now. But yeah, I'm really, really happy I still have this. So those were all of the eyeshadow palettes that I wanted to chat to you about today. Thank you so very much for joining me. I still have a few videos left for you in Eyeshadow Palette Week, so if you'd like to stay tuned for more, and I really hope to see you again very, very soon in a new video. Bye-bye!